The top 4 reasons we are government slaves. Number 4. The Parens Patriae Doctrine. The Parens Patriae Doctrine is the doctrine which gives the U.S. government the ultimate authority over children. It stems partially from the marriage contract, but the government is seen as a third party in addition to the mother and the father. In reference to this arrangement, the Supreme Court has said, and I quote, "The state has a wide range of power for limiting parental freedom and authority in things affecting the child's welfare. And this includes, to some extent, matters of conscience and religious conviction." That was citing Prince v. Massachusetts, 321 U.S. 158 and 167. Because of this doctrine, the government claims authority to force children into its educational systems, and, if the child refuses, to place the child into juvenile court custody with the threat of civil or criminal contempt. The government also claims, in acting as a pseudo-parent, the ability to lower constitutional protections for children in school, and, thus, only gives a reasonable suspicion level of protection to conduct searches by school personnel. This system has led to generations of young adults who do not have any sense of individual autonomy or the right to be free of coercive, authoritarian restraints. Number 3. National Security Patent Control. The United States government has the ability to take for itself certain patented inventions for its own use, and, in doing so, deprive the inventor of any use of the invention. Under 35 U.S.C. 181, titled Secrecy of Certain Inventions and Withholding of Patent, the U.S. government can keep a patent secret and withhold its publication out of national security concerns. While at first this may seem like a necessity to protect the public, the truth is that the government can take patents with unbridled discretion under national security directives. The government does not need to posit a specific interest in the invention it deems important to national security. Once an invention is labeled as such, the courts will generally dismiss any claims against the government until it is declassified. An inventor has no recourse for payment of the invention's use by the government, or for the inventor's inability to make use of the invention. See, for example, Hornback v. United States, 601 F3D 1382. Ultimately, this policy has led to the U.S. government stealing inventions for its own use if it feels the technology may advance individual autonomy too fast for the government to control. Even worse, the public rarely hears about these takings because of the gag orders placed on inventors. Number 2. The Fifth Amendment Takings Clause. The Constitution of the United States expressly provides that private property cannot be taken for public use without just compensation. The implicit notion in this clause, though, is that government has the ability to take private property. Unfortunately, this clause undermines the sovereign right to land with allodial title, that is, the right to own land free of any superior claims. Because of this textual construction, the U.S. government has pushed with great force to expand the takings power, which has led to the Supreme Court decisions upholding the right of government to take private land to sell or give to another private person or company. In Kelo v. City of New London, 545 U.S. 469, the Supreme Court held that eminent domain could be used for the prospect of economic development, and thus the public use requirement under the Constitution will be satisfied. This flimsy standard has been the cause of much abuse, and many projects that required eminent domain ended up never coming to fruition. Even Pfizer, who was to benefit from the Kelo case, failed to build the urban development project it sought to accomplish. Thus, the U.S. Constitution has effectively given the U.S. government free rein to steal property from unwilling sellers. Number 1. Property taxes. The concept of property taxes is especially egregious to individual autonomy because it creates a permanent lien even where an individual has already paid for the land. Property taxes are the chief example of modern feudalism because an individual can never truly be debt-free. And, if that debt is not paid, government officials come to foreclose and steal the property, even if the property is completely paid off. What is most peculiar is how this type of tax stands against other forms of property. It would be strange to pay an annual t-shirt tax for owning a t-shirt, or an annual dishwasher tax for having one in the kitchen. Why is it that real property, or the house they're on, is any different? One might say a tax is needed to establish a record of ownership in secure bounds, but this falls flat compared to any other type of property ownership. A man or woman could own hundreds of thousands of dollars in tangible, personal property, but that property is not confused for another's because ownership is retained by physical possession. Where it is not retained by physical possession, written instruments, like receipts, warranties, and insurance, could provide similar verification without the need for a mandatory tax and potential taking by the government. This has been the top 4 reasons we are government slaves. Thank you for listening.